Section 1. Introduction and Setup. In the heart of a lush green valley lay a small, cheerful village named Rajpur. Life there was simple. Farmers rose with the sun, children played by the river, and the scent of fresh roti drifted through the air every morning. At the center of it all stood Rajj, the village elder, a man with a thick silver beard, a warm smile, and a voice that could soothe even the angriest heart. To most, Rajj was the perfect leader, wise, fair, and respected. People came to him with disputes, fears, and hopes. His word was treated as law. But beneath that charming exterior lived a hidden truth. Rajj had a habit, a dangerous one. He lied. Not the small, harmless kind, but lies with purpose, lies that bent reality to his advantage. It began subtly, years ago, when he realized that a well-crafted falsehood could make people do exactly what he wanted. A few words here, a twisted fact there, and the village would move in the direction he desired. Rajj told himself it was for the greater good, but often, the greater good was just what suited him best. One humid summer morning, Rajj saw an opportunity. The mangoes in the forest were perfectly ripe, but he knew the villagers would rush there after their chores. Rajj wanted the first pick for himself. So, standing in the village square, he announced in a grave voice, "Friends, beware. I have seen wolf tracks near the forest. It is not safe to go today." Gasps rose from the crowd. Mothers pulled their children close. Farmers decided to postpone their trips. No one questioned Rajj. After all, why would the most respected man in the village lie? By noon, Rajj slipped quietly into the forest. With no one to disturb him, he filled his basket with the sweetest mangoes, whistling as he worked. When he returned, he walked through the streets smiling, handing a mango to a neighbor here and there, masking the selfish seed of his action. Among those watching was Kavi, a bright-eyed boy no older than 12. He adored Rajj, often running errands for him, eager to learn from the elder's wisdom. But that day, Kavi noticed something strange. Raj's clothes carried fresh forest dust, yet there had been no fear in his eyes when he spoke about wolves. That night, as the village settled into silence, Kavi passed by Raj's home and heard the old man speaking to himself in the dim glow of an oil lamp. "A clever lie opens more doors than the truth ever could." Kavi froze. The words echoed in his mind. He didn't fully understand their meaning yet, but a tiny seed of doubt had been planted. In Rajpur, the people trusted Rajj completely, but Kavi had just heard the first whisper that their leader's kingdom might be built. Section 2. Rising Conflict. Weeks passed, and the people of Rajpur continued to live under the comforting shadow of Raj's leadership. But Kavi couldn't shake the memory of that night, the whispered sentence, the glint in Raj's eyes, the way the village seemed to dance to his every word. The lies began to grow bolder. One morning, Rajj gathered the villagers and declared, "Friends, I have received a vision in my dreams. Sacred scrolls must be kept safe from evil hands. We must build a protective wall around my house to guard them." The people gasped at the thought of danger to something so precious. Without hesitation, they worked for days, bringing stones, clay, and wood. They did not know that no sacred scrolls existed. Behind the wall, Rajj began storing crates filled with treasures taken from travelers, jewelry, silks, coins, all hidden away from curious eyes. Kavi started noticing patterns. Every time the village was about to make a decision, Rajj would step in with a new warning or story. "Don't plant near the east fields. The soil is cursed. Do not trade with the market in Banipur. The merchants are thieves." And each time, the people obeyed, never daring to question. The consequences began to show. Fields lay unused. Food shortages crept in. Families argued over dwindling supplies. And yet, Rajj remained calm, offering small solutions that always seemed to give him more control over resources. One afternoon, as Kavi carried water from the well, he met a traveling merchant on the dusty road. The man was tall, with weathered skin and sharp eyes that seemed to pierce right through lies. The merchant listened as Kavi spoke about Raj's rules. He then said quietly, "Boy, The most dangerous thief is not the one who steals gold, it's the one who steals truth. For when truth is gone, people become blind. The words sank deep into Kavi's mind. He began to watch Rajj more closely, piecing together the gaps between his stories and reality. Then came the biggest lie yet. Rajj stood before the villagers one stormy evening and declared, "A messenger has told me, the neighboring village of Madamper is planning an attack. We must prepare and close all trade routes." Fear gripped Rajpur. Men sharpened weapons. Women hid valuables. Children were kept indoors. The once bustling trade road fell silent overnight. Rajj, as usual, took charge of distributing food and supplies, making himself the sole authority. But Kavi noticed something strange. No messengers had come, and no scouts were sent to confirm the threat. The supposed enemy was a phantom, a shadow born from Raj's words. As rain poured outside his small home, Kavi sat by the dim lantern light, a thought taking root. If Rajj could control an entire village with a single lie, perhaps a lie could also set them free. And for the first time, the boy began to plan. Section 3, Climax. The rain had stopped, but the air in Rajpur was heavy with tension. The false threat from Madamper had turned neighbors into guards and friends into suspects. Kavi knew that if he didn't act soon, Raj's grip on the village would become unbreakable. One sleepless night, as the moon lit the quiet streets, Kavi whispered to himself, "If truth can't break him, perhaps a lie can." It felt dangerous, wrong even, but the more he thought, the more it seemed the only way forward. So, with a pounding heart, Kavi began weaving his own story. The next morning, he spoke in hushed tones to a group of villagers near the well. "I heard something. A royal inspector is coming to Rajpur. They say the king suspects corruption among village leaders." The words spread like fire in dry grass. By evening, shopkeepers were muttering about the visit, farmers were whispering in the fields, and children repeated the rumor in sing-song voices. Rajj heard it too. At first, he dismissed it as gossip. But when he overheard two elders discussing how the inspector would search every home for stolen goods, a flicker of panic crossed his face. That night, under the cover of darkness, Rajj slipped into his storehouse. He moved the crates of treasures, buried coins under his floor, and burned a pile of papers filled with names and numbers no one was meant to see. His once confident stride was now hurried, nervous. The villagers began to notice his strange behavior. For the first time in years, they questioned his decisions. "Why do we close the trade roads again?" someone asked. "Have we ever even seen a messenger from Madamper?" Another muttered. Kavi watched quietly, feeding the rumor just enough to keep it alive. "The inspector is already nearby," he told one group. "I heard they'll question everyone," he whispered to another.
The pressure mounted.
Rajj called an emergency meeting in the village square. His voice was calm, but sweat glistened on his brow. "My friends, do not believe these tales. No inspector is coming. I am still your protector." But the crowd murmured. For the first time, there were eyes filled with doubt rather than trust. An old farmer stepped forward. "If you have nothing to hide, Rajj, then let us search your house before the inspector arrives." The words struck like a hammer. Rajj stammered, tried to laugh it off, but the crowd was no longer his. They moved toward his home together. When they forced open the storeroom doors, the truth spilled out: silks, gold coins, and trinkets from travelers. Gasps filled the air. Raj's shoulders sagged. His eyes scanned the crowd until they landed on Kavi. In that instant, he understood. With a bitter smile, Rajj whispered just loud enough for the boy to hear, "You've beaten me with my own weapon." Section 4, Resolution and Moral. The crowd stood in stunned silence, the treasures glinting in the sunlight like the exposed roots of a poisoned tree. The man they had trusted for years, the man whose words had been treated as law, was now unmasked before them. Raj's proud posture collapsed. He sank to the ground, his voice barely a whisper. "I only wanted what I thought I deserved, but lies demand payment, and now the debt has come." The villagers didn't shout. They didn't curse. Instead, they turned their backs on him, each step away heavier than the last. For Rajj, That quiet rejection cut deeper than any punishment. A council was quickly formed. The treasures were returned to traders where possible, or shared among families in need. Rajj was stripped of his leadership and ordered to work in the fields, his labor repaying what he had stolen. At first, he resisted, muttering under his breath about ungrateful villagers. But over time, something shifted. The fields gave him no place to hide behind grand speeches or clever lies, only the steady rhythm of honest work and the humility of being an equal among those he once ruled. Covey, meanwhile, felt a strange mix of triumph and guilt. His lie had worked. It had broken Raj's power and freed the village, but it had also made him taste the same dangerous tool Rajj once used so easily. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in gold, Covey found Rajj resting on the edge of the field. The old man looked up, eyes no longer sharp with cunning but softened with something like regret. "You used my own game against me," Rajj said. "Clever, but dangerous. Lies can save, yes, but they also stain the hands that use them." Covey nodded. "I didn't want to lie, but truth alone wasn't enough to open the village's eyes." Rajj gave a small, sad smile. "Then you understand the curse. Even a noble lie leaves a shadow. Never forget that." In the weeks that followed, Rajpur slowly returned to life. The trade roads reopened, laughter returned to the market, and the fear that had gripped the people melted away. But the villagers were changed, more careful, more willing to question even the most trusted voices. Covey kept his promise to himself. He would speak truth, even when it was harder than telling a lie. And he would remember that day, the day he learned that power built on lies may stand tall, but it will always rest on crumbling ground. As the story of Raj's fall spread beyond the valley, people spoke the final words like a warning, a lesson carried on the wind. A lie may rule for a season, but the truth rules for all time.